In this video, we will learn how to create a fully featured admin dashboard using HTML and CSS. The dashboard will consist of two main sections, a sidebar and a main content area. The sidebar has a toggle functionality that can be used to adjust the width of the sidebar. By doing so, it has the ability to hide the brand identity and sidebar navigation link as well. Each sidebar link has its own respective sidebar icon, which can be customized according to your preferences. Moreover, when a user hovers over a sidebar link, a semi-transparent background color is added to differentiate it from other links. In addition, the footer section of the sidebar contains a link for logout, which can also be customized according to your preferences. Our dashboard's main header navigation bar includes a search box in the top navigation bar and an image in the top right corner identifying the admin dashboard user. When the user hovers over the image, a drop-down link is visible. Our main content in the admin dashboard is presented in a card layout design. Each card displays a specific category of information. When hovered over, the background color of the card smoothly changes, indicating that it has been selected. The admin dashboard is equipped with a visually appealing and user-friendly table that can automatically adjust to different screen sizes. In the admin dashboard, there is a section located at the bottom of the page, commonly referred to as the footer. Left corner displays copyright information. Right corner area contains social links. Let's start with the initial setup for our project. First, we need to choose a title for our project. To use icons, we will be using line icons, which are both free and easy to use. We will utilize its CDN link and add it under the head tag. After that, let's create a style.css file in this directory. Next, we should link the style.css file to our index.html file. Once we have completed these steps, we should be ready to proceed. We will wrap the admin dashboard component with a div that has a class of container. The sidebar HTML element will be placed inside an aside tag with an ID of sidebar. There will be a checkbox input on the with ID toggler. This checkbox input will have a label tag associated with it through the for attribute. Later, in our CSS code, we will use these input and label tags to create a toggle functionality for the sidebar. We will place an icon inside the label tag. When you click the icon, the sidebar will toggle. Also, we will include a span tag to represent our brand logo. To create a sidebar navigation menu, we will use an unordered list with the class of sidebar nav. Inside the unordered list, we will add list items to represent each navigation item. In the sidebar, every navigation element will be displayed as a list item with the class sidebar item. Each list item will contain an anchor tag with the class sidebar link, as well as an icon that corresponds to the action of the navigation item. Moreover, a span tag will be included to represent the navigation link. Alright, now copy and paste. Likewise, let's update the icon and navigation link for each sidebar item. We have finished creating our HTML content for the sidebar navigation. Next, we will create a div element with the class sidebar footer right after the UL tag. This element will function as the footer section of the sidebar. We will add an anchor tag with an appropriate icon, such as a logout link, which would be more fitting for the footer section of the sidebar. In order to enhance the appearance of our admin dashboard, we need to apply CSS styling. To achieve this, we will be using the popular Google font, Poppins. To access this font, we will need to import the appropriate code into our CSS file. This will enable us to customize the font's properties and apply it to our sidebar. These CSS selectors and pseudo elements are likely being used for global styling purposes. Box sizing is set to border box, while margin and padding are set to 0. We will remove any underlines from anchor tags by setting the text decoration property to none, and the color will be a shade of blue. Also, we will remove the list style from the li tag, ensuring it's set to none. The heading 2 color will be a dark shade of blue-gray. We will now select the image element. First, we will set the vertical align property to middle. This will ensure that the image is vertically centered within its container. Likewise, we will set the max width property to 100%. We will use the Poppins font family for all the text on the web page. Our main container element, which wraps all dashboard components, will have the flex display property. Let's proceed to style our sidebar and add a toggle function. The ID sidebar is displayed as flex with a column layout. We will add a purple background color. The checkbox input element with the ID toggler is hidden from view, as its display property is set to none. Despite being hidden, the checkbox is still fully functional and can be toggled by clicking on its associated label element. The toggle BTN class associated with the label element will be displayed as a flex container with centered items. The font size will be set to 1.5 rem and the cursor will be displayed as a pointer. The text color will be white and the padding will be set to 1.5 rem. The span tag within the toggle BTN class will have a font size of 1 rem, a margin left of 0.85 rem, and a font weight of 600. The sidebar navigation menu is defined with an unordered list tag that has a class of sidebar nav. It will always have a width of 85 px, which is also the minimum width to prevent it from becoming smaller. The padding for the top and bottom of the menu is set to 25 px, and there is no padding on the left and right. The flex property is set to 11 auto, which allows the menu to adjust its size to fit the available space. Additionally, there is a smooth transition animation for the sidebar toggle functionality. The following logic controls the sidebar toggle functionality. When a checkbox input is checked within the sidebar element, the sidebar navigation's width is set to 260 pixels with a minimum width of 260 pixels to prevent the navigation from collapsing to a smaller width when the checkbox is checked. We will now proceed to style the sidebar link. We'll do this by setting the padding to .625 rem for the top and bottom and 1.625 rem for the left and right. The link's color will be white and its display will be set to block. To ensure that the link's text stays on a single line without wrapping to a new line, we will use whitespace no wrap. Lastly, we will add a left border of 3px solid transparent. In the next step, we will adjust the style of the icon within each sidebar link. The icon size will be 1.1 rem and it will be positioned with a right margin of 0.75 rem. When the user hovers over a sidebar link, we will update its background color and include a left border to make it stand out from other links. This CSS rule is often used for checkbox-based toggles to display or hide elements based on the checkbox status. It specifically hides any enclosed text within an element that has the toggle BTN class when the checkbox in the sidebar is unchecked. This means that the text will only be visible again when the checkbox is checked. This CSS code selects the span tag within elements having class sidebar link and hides the text content within links in the sidebar when the checkbox is unchecked. We will now move on to the main section of our admin dashboard, specifically the main Navbar section. After the aside tag, we will create a div with the class main. This div will serve as a wrapper for our main content area, which includes our top navigation bar, main dashboard content, and footer. For the Navbar, we will create a div with the class dashboard Navbar. Within this div, we will have a form tag followed by a div with the class navsearch. This div will contain the search box. For the search box, we will use the input type search with the class search query. Similarly, we will add a button with the class btn that will be associated with the search box. After closing the form, we will create a div element with the class name form content. Inside this div, we will create an unordered list element with the class name main_nav. Within this unordered list, we will create a list item element with the class name user link. Inside this list item, we will place an anchor tag element followed by an image element which will be used to represent the user dashboard icon. The class name of the image element will be avatar. Likewise, after closing the anchor tag, we will create a div element with the class name user link dropdown. The content of this div will only be visible when the user hovers over the dashboard user icon. Within this div, we will place an anchor tag element with the class name dropdown item. These links will only be visible when the user hovers over the dashboard user icon. Next, we will style the main element, which will act as the container for our dashboard content. We have used a flex display with a column direction and set a minimum height of 100 VH to ensure that the main element covers the entire viewport. Moreover, we have given it a width of 100% and set overflow to hidden. We will now apply styling to our main top navbar. The element with class dashboard navbar will have the display property set to flex, which will allow us to use flexbox properties on child elements. The flex wrap property will be set to no wrap to prevent flex items from wrapping onto multiple lines. The top and bottom padding will be set to 1 rem, and the left and right padding will be set to 1.5 rem. Additionally, the background color will be a light shade of grayish blue. For mobile devices, we'll hide the search box within the navbar to optimize the viewing experience. Next, we'll target the element with class form content and set its display property to flex. The flex property will be set to 1, which will allow it to expand and fill any available space along the main axis of the flex container. We'll also set the minimum width to 200 pixels. We will select the main nav class associated with the unordered list tag and set the margin left property to auto, which will move the element to the far right of its container. List items with the class user link will have their position property set to relative. The image used as an icon for our dashboard with the class avatar will have a height of 40 px and width of 40 px. The drop-down link will be initially hidden with the display property set to none. We will now write CSS code to display a drop-down link when the user hovers over the dashboard icon on the right side. To position it absolutely within the containing element, we will set its position to absolute. By setting the right property to 0, the drop-down will align with the right edge of the containing element. The left property will be set to auto. We will set the minimum width to 9 rem and give it a light grayish background color. When hovering, the drop-down will be displayed as a block. The border radius will be set to 0.5 rem and the padding top will be 10 px. To create a fade-in effect while displaying our drop-down upon hover, we will need to create an animation using keyframes. This animation will be named fade. The animation will start with 0% opacity, which will make it fully transparent. At 100%, the opacity will be set to 1, making it opaque. The main goal of this animation is to smoothly transition the element. Finally, we need to attach this animation where we are targeting the drop-down to be visible after the user hovers. We will be targeting a drop-down link with the display set to block, a width of 100%, a dark gray color, padding of 0.125 rem for top and bottom, and 0.75 rem for left and right. The font size will be set to 1 rem, and there will be a margin top of 0.5 rem. Similarly, when the user hovers over the drop-down link, we will add a transition of 0.4s for a smooth ease transition. The color will be set to white, and we will add a background color while hovering. We will now move on to the HTML section to create the main content of our dashboard. To do this, we will create a div element with the class name of content, which will serve as the main container for our dashboard content. For the subheading of the admin dashboard content, we will use the heading to tag. This heading will represent the categorization of the card elements that we will create shortly. We will mainly display our data and information in cards and tables for the main dashboard content. To do this, we will create a div element with the class name of dashboard card. This div will serve as the main container for all the other cards that we will create. For each individual card, we will create a div element with the class name of card. We will also create an h6 element with the class name of title and another h6 element with the class name of amount. To create a badge, we will create a div element with the class name of badge. We will also create a span tag with the class name of text bg and another span tag with the class name of badge text. Once we have completed one card, we can simply duplicate it 2 more times. Then, we can make changes to the title, amount, and other elements for each individual card. We have finished creating our cards, and now we will create a table to display information. We will use a heading to tag to represent the table heading information. Let's create a div and give it an inline style of overflow x auto. We will use the HTML table tag with an ID of posts. We will also use the thread tag to represent the table heading. Our table will have 4 columns, each wrapped inside a tr tag. Each column will be represented by a th tag. For each table heading column, we will specify its width and name. We will represent the main table body inside an HTML body tag. Now that the table is done, we need to create a footer for our admin dashboard. We will use the footer tag to signify the beginning of the footer. We will create a div with a class of footer wrap. We will place our copyright text inside this div with a class of copyright text. Next, we will create a p tag and place the copyright icon that we copied and some copyright text inside it. For social links, we will use the UL tag with a class of social links. Similarly, we will place an li tag for each social link. Inside this li tag, we will place a link with an anchor tag. Now we are done with the HTML section of the admin dashboard. Alright, now that we have completed the HTML section, let's move on to CSS. In this section, we will be writing CSS for dashboard content. This includes representing and styling our information in cards and tables. To begin with, we will set the padding of the main element with class content to 2 rem on all sides. The flex property will be set to 1:1 auto, which means that the content can grow and shrink as needed to fit the available space while maintaining its initial size as a basis. For the wrapper with class dashboard card, we will set its grid template column property to repeat 1,1 fr. This means that each card will take up the full width of the container. The margin top and bottom will be 1 rem, and the left and right margins will be 0. Additionally, we will set its display property to grid and gap will be 2 rem. Now, to style individual cards, we will set the background color to light gray and padding top and bottom to 1.5 rem and left and right padding to 1 rem. Similarly, we will set the color border radius to 5 px, transition of .4s for a smooth animated effect, and cursor will be set to pointer. For styling the main title of the card, we will give it a font size of 1.2 rem and font weight of 600 for a semi-bold appearance. Similarly, for the amount we will set the font weight to 400 and font size to 1 rem. When the user hovers over a card element, we will change its appearance by setting its background color to purple, color to white, and use the transform property to lift the card in a vertical position. To style text inside an element with class text PG, we will add a background color of green, padding top and bottom of 0.25 rem, left and right padding of 0.35 rem, and a right margin of 0.375 rem. The font size will be 0.715 rem, and the color will be white with a border radius of 5 px. For the element with class badge text, we will add a font size of 0.85 rem and font weight of 400. Now that we have finished styling our card information, we will proceed to style our table. The table with the ID of posts will have its border collapse property set to collapsed. The margin top and bottom will be 30 px, while the left and right margin will be set to auto, and the width will be set to 100%. We will now style the column inside the table heading. We will set its color to white, align the text to the left, and set the background color to purple. Next, we will target the table head and table data cells by setting their padding property to 12 px for the top and bottom and 15 px for the left and right. To make alternate rows look different, we will target every second row of the T-body and add a distinct background color. Now that we have completed styling the content of the admin dashboard, we will proceed to style the footer. We will style the element with the class footer wrap. Its display will be set to flex, allowing us to use flexbox properties for child elements. The flex wrap will be set to wrap, allowing flex items to wrap onto multiple lines if needed. The white space will be set to now wrap, the align items property set to center, which centers the element vertically. The overflow X property will be set to auto, allowing a scroll bar horizontally if necessary. To spread out the content evenly between each flex item, we will set justify content to space between. The background color will be a light gray color, while the padding for the top and bottom will be 1 rem, and the left and right will be 2 rem. The color for the copyright text will be dark gray. For mobile or smaller screen sizes, we will not display our social icons. We will now proceed to style our dashboard for larger screen sizes, targeting screens larger than 768 pixels. Firstly, we will target the main Navbar search box. We will set its display property to block, making it visible. We will also set its maximum width to 320 pixels. Next, we will style the search box by targeting the element with the class nav search and giving it a display property of flex with flex wrap set to wrap. Similarly, we will target the input element with the class search query and give it a flex value of 1 auto, allowing the search box to grow and shrink as needed while maintaining its initial size as a basis. The width will be set to 1%. This CSS property calculates the height of an element dynamically using calc function. The height is a sum of 1.5 rem, 0.9 rem, and 2px, allowing for flexible and precise height specification. Padding will be set to 0px for top and bottom, and 20px for left and right. Remove its border. Set its color to dark gray and its font family to Poppins. We will also style the input element in its unfocused state by removing its outline. Next, we will target the button in the search box. We will set its border to 0, background color to purple, color to white, and padding to 0.45 rem on the top and bottom, and 0.9 rem on the left and right. We will also set its font family to Poppins, its font weight to 600, and its cursor to pointer. Moving on to the card content, we will distribute the card into 3 columns for larger screen sizes by setting the repeat value to 3 and the AFR value to 1. For larger screen sizes, we will display our social icons using the display property set to block. We will then target the individual social icon links, except for the last one, and set the margin right to 0.5 rem, border right to 1px solid gray, and padding right to 0.7 rem. Each list item inside the element with the class social icons will have a display property set to inline block, horizontally aligning individual list items. Finally, we will style the social link by setting its color to gray. We have managed to create an admin dashboard using only HTML and CSS. The dashboard we built is fully responsive, scalable, and modern. I have made an effort to ensure that this tutorial is as easy to understand as possible. If you found it helpful, please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing.